Amidst the grasslands, a legend walks. A Diablosaurus, scarred by time, honed by battles. Once a fragile hatchling, he is now a fierce protector, guarding his own with unwavering strength. He has faced loss, fought relentless predators, and stood defiant against a world that tests him at every turn. His story is marked by tragedy, love, and the fight for survival. But before we reach those final battles, the path that made him must be walked. This is his journey, from those first uncertain steps to a warrior's final stand. And it begins now. Here, in the open grasslands, a new life emerges. Beneath the tall, swaying grasses, a Diablosaurus egg begins to stir. A small crack forms, and ember-red eyes peer out from within the shell. Around the egg, its parents and older siblings, massive, dark-scaled guardians, stand watch, alert to any threats lurking in the undergrowth. With a final push, the young Diablosaurus breaks free, its glossy obsidian-black scales glinting in the sun. Though still small and unsteady, it is safe for now, sheltered by its family's watchful presence until it can one day roam these vast grasslands on its own. Just hours after hatching, the young Diablosaurus faces its first true test of survival. It stumbles, letting out desperate cries, a raspy, high-pitched call that grows weaker with each breath. It is hungry, its tiny body burning through the last of its energy, and the parents who had watched over it are nowhere to be seen. The sun hangs low, casting long shadows across the grassland, and the hatchling's movements become more frantic. If help doesn't arrive soon, the newborn's strength will fade entirely. But then, a rumble echoes across the plains. Thunderous footsteps. The earth trembles as the parents burst back into view, their dark forms cutting through the grasses like shadows. In their jaws, they carry sustenance. They reach their young just as it collapses again, jaws snapping open to drop the meal before it. With a weak but instinctive lunge, the hatchling sinks its tiny teeth into the food, devouring it hungrily. The parents stand guard, their watchful eyes scanning the horizon for threats. Today, the young Diablosaurus survives, saved in the final moments by the return of its family. But life on these grasslands remains perilous, and every day will bring a new battle to be fought. With its hunger finally sated, the young Diablosaurus seeks out the warmth and safety of its mother. Its small legs, still unsteady, finds her towering and protective, her black scales blending seamlessly with the twilight shadows. The hatchling nestles close to her side, pressing its small, obsidian-scaled body into the curve of her powerful limbs. Here, it finds refuge from the evening chill that creeps across the grasslands. Its mother lowers her head slightly, encircling the young one with a low, rumbling growl that wards off any lurking predators. The hatchling's breathing slows, its ember-red eyes flickering closed as it drifts into a deep, untroubled sleep. Safe under its mother's watchful eye, it knows that in this vast and dangerous world, it is protected. For tonight, at least, the grasslands hold no terrors that can breach the sanctuary of a mother's embrace. Yet, life in the grasslands is not always so serene. As the young Diablosaurus grows, new dangers begin to lurk in every shadow. After a night of rest, their mother leaves to guard her nest, a duty that pulls her away from her two young. Suddenly, the stillness is shattered by a sharp, piercing call. it echoes across the plains, the call of a raptor, signaling to its pack that the hunt is about to begin. The hatchlings freeze, their ember-red eyes scanning the mountain above, their instincts sharpening. They know that danger is near, and time is short. Without hesitation, the brothers scramble down the jagged mountain slope, racing against the growing danger. The youngest, still unsure of its footing, misjudges a step. For a heart-stopping moment, it slips. But just as quickly, it catches hold of a craggy edge. The young Diablosaurus takes a final deep breath, gathers its strength, and makes its way down the rest of the mountain. Moments later, the brothers break through the tall grasses and reach their parents, dark, vigilant shapes looming against the horizon. Together again, they find shelter beneath their parents' powerful presence. The raptor calls fade into the distance, and for now, the young Diablosauri have avoided the jaws of a hungry pack. But in these untamed lands, safety is always fleeting, and each new challenge brings a lesson in survival. The rains have come, breathing new life into the grasslands, where the young Diablosaurus and his family thrive. For a time, peace reigns, but today, that fragile balance is broken. In a moment of confusion, the mother shifts suddenly, and her great horn, sharp as a spear, impales one of the hatchlings. The young one's cry is cut short as it is lifted into the air, then slides lifelessly from the horn, collapsing into the mud below. The young Diablosaurus watches in stunned silence, the rain mixing with the blood-soaked earth. His heart pounds as he realizes with a deep and terrible clarity that life here is both precious and cruel. And from now on, he knows the world will never be as gentle as he once believed. The young Diablosaurus hesitates, but instinct pulls him toward his lifeless brother. He feels the cold seep into his heart, yet he yearns for one last connection. He searches for warmth, that familiar pulse of life he knew so well. But it's gone. The soft heat that once radiated from his sibling has faded, leaving only the cool touch of rain-soaked earth. A deep ache settles in his chest, an unbearable weight as he realizes that this moment is fleeting. He knows that soon the world will take this body away, leaving behind only memories. In that moment, he wishes to hold on to the warmth just a moment longer before the rain washes it all away. Weeks pass since the death of his brother, and the young Diablosaurus is forever changed. A vow forms in his heart. He will not allow another member of his family to perish. From that day on, he keeps vigilant watch, his ember-red eyes scanning the grasslands for any sign of danger. Then, one fateful day, he spots movement in the underbrush. A young Carnotaurus lurking just 15 feet away, its predatory gaze fixed on the unsuspecting family. Heart pounding, the young Diablosaurus recognizes the threat, and instinctively, he springs into action. He races back to alert his parents and siblings, emitting a series of urgent calls that cut through the stillness of the grasslands. His family turns, confusion quickly giving way to understanding as they gather together, instincts kicking in. With fierce determination, the young Diablosaurus stands guard, positioning himself between the predator and his vulnerable siblings. As the Carnotaurus inches closer, he lets out a ferocious roar, a sound that resonates with the strength of his resolve. To his surprise, the Carnotaurus hesitates, then retreats, recognizing the young Diablosaurus as a worthy opponent. In that moment, a wave of pride washes over him. He has defended his family and succeeded in scaring off his first predator. As the sun sets on that day, The young Diablosaurus stands tall, feeling a sense of accomplishment that fills the void left by his brother's loss. He knows the world remains perilous, but for now, he has proven himself as a protector, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Weeks have passed since the young Diablosaurus last faced a predator, but today his heart is tested once more. He realizes his younger sibling is missing, and a pang of fear grips him. Instinctively, he takes charge, rallying the family to search for the lost hatchling. They scour the grasslands, calling out in the hopes of hearing a response. But as they move deeper into the underbrush, they stumble upon a grim sight: the remains of another sibling, thought to be returning soon. Though grief weighs heavy on the young Diablosaurus, the search for his missing sibling must continue. The family moves through the grasslands, calling out, hope flickering in their hearts for the one who can still be saved. But then, tragedy strikes once more. Just feet behind the young Diablosaurus, a Ceratosaurus bursts from the underbrush, powerful jaws snapping shut around his youngest sibling. The chilling scream of the hatchling pierces the air, and the young Diablosaurus watches helplessly as life fades in mere moments. A surge of anger wells up inside him, but he feels powerless, the loss of yet another sibling gnawing at his heart. He squares his shoulders, resolute and defiant, unwilling to let the predator claim the remains of his lost brother. Just then, their mother approaches the scene, her eyes wide with horror at what has unfolded. Blinded by the loss of another offspring, she cannot find the reason for her pain, lurking just feet behind the hill in front of her. But the Diablo calls out the location of the brute. The mother, angry, charges the beast. But before she can react, her mate calls her back, urging her to focus on the surviving young, the urgency of their safety outweighing the tragedy of the moment. Loss stacking high, remaining outside of the protection of their nesting site, is too dangerous. The herd decide to head back home, but thirst prevails over instinct for a young Diablo. He heads for the lake, despite the cries and warning of its parents. The young Diablosaurus watches anxiously as one of his last rare remaining siblings approaches the Deer Lake, a murky body of water infamous for harboring fearsome creatures large enough to swallow a fully grown Diablosaurus whole. Despite the frantic warnings of their parents, the young hatchling leans down to drink, thirst overriding instinct. In an instant, the surface of the water erupts as a massive Deinosuchus lunges forward, its powerful jaws snapping shut around the unsuspecting sibling. The young Diablosaurus's heart races as he watches helplessly, the terrifying scene unfolding in front of him. His mother reacts instantly, panic driving her to attack the colossal predator. But her efforts are futile against the Deinosuchus's sheer size and strength. With a deafening roar, the Deinosuchus drags the young hatchling beneath the water, and within seconds, another sibling is lost, swallowed by the depths. Grief and fury crash over the young Diablosaurus like a storm, the weight of loss pressing down harder than ever before. Once again, the harsh reality of survival strikes, reminding him that in this unforgiving world, danger lurks even in the most innocent moments. The fight to protect what remains of his family has become a desperate struggle against overwhelming odds. As twilight descends upon the grasslands, the remaining Diablosaurus family returns to their nest, burdened by loss. They settle in, seeking comfort in one another's warmth, exhaustion pulling them into a troubled sleep. The night air is filled with the sounds of chirping insects, a fragile peace amidst their grief. In the wild, the story is never truly over. It simply awaits the dawn. The dawn breaks over the grasslands, but today the sky weeps, rain pouring down in steady sheets. The young Diablosaurus stirs awake, blinking through the droplets that cling to his glossy black scales. As he looks around, he finds his family nowhere in sight, the nest empty and silent. An uneasy feeling settles in his chest, heavy like the rain-soaked air. It's time for him to pursue adulthood. The losses of the past have hardened him, and now he must seek out new companions and forge his own path. With determination pushing him forward, he rises, his footfalls muted against the damp earth. As he steps into the rain, the world around him feels both inviting and daunting. The search is on. He will find friends to share in his journey, and one day start a family of his own. Though the rain falls heavily, it cannot wash away his resolve. With each step, he embraces the challenges that lie ahead, ready to carve out his place in this wild, untamed world. After hours of searching through the rain-soaked grasslands, the young Diablosaurus finally spots a small group of fellow dinosaurs in the distance. Approaching cautiously, he introduces himself with inviting calls, and to his relief, their initial suspicion melts away. As they interact, he learns their ways, playful nudges and shared food, bringing laughter and camaraderie that fill the void left by his past losses. This moment marks the dawn of a new journey. With renewed hope, the young Diablosaurus embraces the adventures that await, knowing he has found not just friends, but a new family in this wild, untamed world. As the young Diablosaurus spends time with his new friends, they are soon joined by a newcomer, an imposing figure with striking red markings adorning the shield above his head. This dinosaur carries himself with a calm confidence, exuding an aura of strength and wisdom. The young Diablosaurus watches intently as the newcomer interacts with the group, effortlessly commanding respect while sharing valuable lessons on survival in the grasslands. With each story and demonstration, the seasoned dinosaur becomes a beacon of guidance, inspiring the young Diablosaurus to aspire to greater heights. In this new friendship, he finds not just companionship, but a role model who will help shape his journey into adulthood. Later that day, as the young Diablosaurus practices his defensive skills, honing his instincts against potential predators, the newcomer with the striking red markings suddenly charges from behind. The young Diablosaurus barely has time to react before he's caught off guard. But instead of fear, he feels a rush of excitement. The seasoned dinosaur engages him in a playful but instructive head-to-head clash, demonstrating the fundamentals of defense. They ram their heads together, the force of their impact resonating through the grasslands. With each encounter, the newcomer teaches the young Diablosaurus how to leverage his horns and body weight, instilling confidence and strength. "Don't be afraid," he urges, guiding him through the motions and showing him the power that lies within. As they practice, the young Diablosaurus begins to feel the thrill of strength surging through him. Under the watchful eye of his mentor, he learns not only to defend himself, but also to embrace the warrior spirit within, readying himself for whatever challenges lie ahead. As the sun dips low, the newcomer with red markings and an older herd member prepare to demonstrate a practice duel. The young Diablosaurus and his peers gather closely, eager to learn. The two adults charge, meeting with a thunderous clash, horns locking and muscles straining. The newcomer uses precise movements and weight, while the elder counters with agility and experience. Every move is a lesson, teaching the younger Diablos how to balance strength, strategy, and resilience. The young Diablosaurus watches in awe, imagining himself mastering these skills, readying for the challenges of the wild. Time passes, and the young Diablosaurus finds himself in a familiar situation. 3 Carnotaurus lurk in the shadows, trying to sneak up on him and his new herd. But this time, he's alert, ready to defend his family. Before he can act, a seasoned adult from the herd charges forward with impressive speed, slamming into the Carnotaurus trio. The impact sends the predators scrambling, hurt and fleeing back into the grasslands. The young Diablosaurus watches, realizing he's no longer alone in this fight. Strength and unity are on his side. Our Diablo now heads with his new family to a watering hole, enjoying the day. But just as the dust settles from the Carnotaurus retreat, a new danger emerges. Out of nowhere, 4 Ceratosaurus, each as fierce as the next, burst from the underbrush, their eyes gleaming with hunger. They charge into the Diablosaurus group, teeth bared, aiming to take down the vulnerable young. Chaos engulfs the herd. The adults roar in unison, quickly forming a defensive line as the Ceratosaurus attack with ferocity. Horns clash against snapping jaws, the ground trembling beneath the weight of the battle. The predators strike with savage intent, but the Diablosaurus are ready, pushing back with all their strength. Amidst the chaos of battle, the young Diablosaurus feels a surge of determination. The roars of his herd echo around him as the Ceratosaurus pack presses their attack. But something shifts inside him. Memories of past losses, the lessons learned from his mentor, and the strength gained through countless struggles come rushing back. For the first time, he feels the power in his own body, the confidence of his strength. His actions rally the herd, and together they push the predators back. The young Diablosaurus has found his place among them, no longer just a follower, but a fighter, capable of protecting the ones he cares for. In this battle, he has found the warrior within. As life in the grasslands moves forward, the herd stumbles upon a small, frightened figure, a baby Diablosaurus, alone and trembling. The sight pulls at the young Diablosaurus's heart, a reminder of the brother he lost so long ago. Memories flood back, tinged with both sorrow and determination. The little one is perched atop a rock, trying to make itself small as it hides from the shadows of raptors and Ceratosaurus prowling nearby. Their eyes glint with hunger, circling just beyond the safety of the stone perch, waiting for a moment of vulnerability. But this time, the young Diablosaurus isn't helpless. He knows the fear that grips the baby, the same terror he felt when facing danger alone. He steps forward, a silent promise to protect the new life before him, just as he had vowed. to protect his family. As the herd charges off to face two approaching Ceratosaurus, our young Diablosaurus makes a different choice. He stays back, shielding the trembling baby Diablosaurus, his eyes scanning the shadows for any lurking predators that might take advantage of the chaos. From his position, he watches his family collide with the Ceratosaurus, the roars and clashes echoing through the grasslands. His heart pounds in his chest, muscles tensing with the urge to join the fray. Each blow exchanged pulls at him, a deep instinct urging him to leap into the battle and stand alongside the herd he's come to see as his own. With a sudden burst of resolve, the young Diablosaurus charges forward, leaving the baby momentarily behind. He rams into the unsuspecting raptor and chases it down, killing it with one final blow. As the raptor lies lifeless before him, the young Diablosaurus catches his breath, chest heaving. Pride swells within him, knowing he protected his herd. But a somber weight lingers, a realization of the harsh balance of life and death. He feels the gravity of survival, both the strength and the cost it demands. Years have passed, and the once young Diablosaurus has grown into a formidable leader. His body scarred from countless battles, his mind sharpened by experience. Now, with a family of his own, he watches over them as they drink peacefully by the lakeside, the shadows of their past trials never far from his mind. Suddenly, a familiar danger emerges. Another Carnotaurus, lurking, eyes fixed on his vulnerable family. But this time, the Diablosaurus is ready, battle-hardened and fearless. He charges without hesitation, a low growl rumbling deep in his chest. He relishes the challenge, muscles tensing with anticipation, horns glinting as he barrels toward the threat. This is not just another fight, it's a promise. He will defend what is his, no matter the cost. For the Diablosaurus, survival is no longer just about strength. It's about love, the unbreakable bond to those he swore to protect, even if it means his last breath. Now, the prey has become the predator. The Diablosaurus traps the Ceratosaurus on a narrow bridge, cutting off its escape back to the safety of the forest. His powerful frame blocks every retreat, horns gleaming in the dim light, his intent clear. Nothing will threaten his family again. He turns his back, offering the Ceratosaurus a false sense of safety. The predator hesitates, then lunges, thinking it has the upper hand. But the Diablosaurus is ready, every muscle tense, waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. He stands proud over his kill, showing dominance and unwavering strength for any unseen predators lurking in the shadows. Time moves forward, and the once raging battles fade into memory. After felling the Carnotaurus, the Diablosaurus lives on, his family safe under his protection. Years pass, his scars and strength growing deeper, but so does the peace he finds among his herd. He returns home to the familiar grasslands, leading his family with the same fierce devotion. He remembers every moment, the siblings lost along the way, the first tragic death he witnessed, and the last life he took to keep his family safe. each memory a reminder of the journey that shaped him. As the seasons turn, age finally takes its toll. His once mighty body, now heavy with time, slowly settles beneath a familiar tree. The sun sets on the horizon, casting warm light over the land he's guarded for so long. He closes his eyes, the memories swirling like a gentle breeze, and slips into a final rest, content, knowing he has done all he could. And so, we say goodbye. Our Diablosaurus, who faced the trials of this wild world, has taken his final breath. From a small, trembling hatchling to a fierce guardian, he fought, he loved, and he lost, until time, as it does for all, caught up with him. Now, only memories remain, whispered among the winds of the grasslands he once protected. His story ends here, but the world moves on, as it always does, indifferent to the heartache left behind. Thank you for walking this journey with us. Until next time, remember, nature's cycle continues, even as it leaves behind those who once roamed.
Whispers of night beyond